Hello dear students, welcome back to our lecture series on geography. Today we are going to discuss about the topic migration. A population of humans living in a given area faces certain pressures. Those pressures depend on the size of the population, the resources available and the community's ability to exploit those resources. This pressure forces the people to migrate from one place to another. Migration has been a constant feature of human history. Homo migrans has existed ever since Homo sapiens. Moving away from the traditional nation-based dichotomy of emigration and immigration, the less specific term migration allows for many possible routes, time spans, directions and destinations. It can be temporary or long term, voluntary or forced. It can occur in stages or in cycles and can be monodirectional or more varied. Since the mid-20th century, the nature of migration has also become largely influenced by globalization. Advances in communication and transportation technology have driven globalization forward, allowing us to live in a world where distances between countries and travel time are no longer as significant as obstacles. In this episode, we are trying to give you some information about the process of migration and the consequences under the following subheadings: migration and migrant, internal and international migration, reasons for the migration, impacts of migration, consequences of migration. First, let me tell you what is migration and who are the migrants. The definition of the word migration can be the movement of people from one place to another. The term migrant can be understood as any person who lives temporarily or permanently in a country where he or she was not born and has acquired some significant social ties to this country. However, this may be a too narrow definition when considering that according to some states' policies, a person can be considered as a migrant even when he or she is born in the country. This definition indicates that migrant does not refer to refugees, displaced or other forced or compelled to leave their homes. Migrants are people who make choices about when to leave and where to go, even though these choices are sometimes extremely constrained. Indeed, some scholars make a distinction between voluntary and involuntary migration. The special reports of the Commission on Human Rights has proposed that the following persons should be considered as migrants. They are persons who are outside the territory of the state of which there are nationals or citizens are not subjected to its legal protection and are in the territory of another state, and persons who do not enjoy the general legal recognition of rights which is inherent in the granting by the host state of the status of refugee, naturalized person or of similar status, and persons who do not enjoy either general legal protection of their fundamental rights by virtue of diplomatic agreements, visas or other agreements. This broad definition of migrants reflects the current difficulty in distinguishing between migrants who leave their countries because of political harassment, conflicts, economic problems, environmental degradation, or a combination of these reasons, and those who do so in search of conditions of survival or well-being that does not exist in their place of origin. It also attempts to define migrant population in a way that takes new situation into consideration. Turning to the concept of migration, it is crossing the boundary of a political or administrative unit for a certain minimum period of time. It includes the movement of refugees, displaced persons, uprooted people as well as economic migrants. Internal migration refers to a move from one area to another within country. International migration is a territorial relocation of people between nations. Migration have occurred throughout human history, beginning with the movements of the first human groups from their origins in East Africa to their current location in the world. Migration occurs at a variety of scales, that is, intercontinental means between continents, intracontinental, that is countries on a given continent, and interregional means within countries. One of the most significant migration patterns has been rural to urban migration, the movement of people from the countryside to cities in search of opportunities.